So now we're going to talk a little bit about toddlers, the 18 months to 3 years old. Um, Personally, I think toddlers are some of the most exciting parts of child development because everything is new and exciting, and you're still smart, and it's great. But they think you're awesome. So some of the milestones that you look at for toddlers, they're learning to feed themselves. They're learning to look to the adults in their life for feedback of what's appropriate for them to do. They start to identify and name objects. They start to learn to use the toilet. Yay, that's really exciting and amazing. They're starting to learn to talk and communicate. Their gross motor skills are developing, so they're learning to kick and throw balls and play broader games and explore their world. They're also learning how to follow simple directions and to start separating from caregivers. Um, I've seen some moms and dads have a hard time with their little kiddos going off to preschool and not needing them quite so much anymore. But it's a really important part of milestones in early childhood development is being able to feel safe enough in the world to be able to be separated from your caregiver. So when your kiddo can march on off to school by themselves, you've done something really well in teaching them that the world is safe and that they can explore a little bit without you. So some of the things that are normal, that might really annoy us as parents, but that are absolutely normal behaviors for toddlers, things like coloring on the wall with crayons. They do that. Asking questions constantly. Mommy, 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 mommy. Yes, that's all normal. Refusing to share, pooping their pants or having accidents when you think that they're toilet trained. It doesn't always happen. Spilling their drinks, making messes, hitting others. It's all very normal within that toddlerhood time frame. So don't get too wound up. Recognize that for toddlers, they're learning the rules. And the way that they learn the rules is for you to teach them in an appropriate way. Discipline teaches, punishment overpowers. And it's important to remember that the things they learn earliest, they learn best. So it's really important to invest wisely into this time frame of what it is that you're teaching your child. So toddlers are mini explorers, and that means there's going to be fights and there's going to be messes, and it's okay. I came across some toddler property law that I thought I would share with you because it's important to understand that this is the way the world works and how toddlers view the world. If I like it, it's mine. If it's in my hand, it's mine. If I take it from you, it's mine. If I had it a little while ago, it's still mine. If it's mine, it can never appear to be yours in any way. If I'm building something, all the pieces are mine. If it looks just like mine, it's mine. If I saw it first, it's mine. If you're playing with something and you put it down, it automatically becomes mine. And if it's broken, it's yours. But the pieces are still mine. So if you're getting a little frustrated with some of these behaviors that you might see within your child who's a toddler, very normal. So what do we do if they misbehave? Remember, we want to teach instead of punish. Be affectionate, build relationship, build trust, keep to a routine, and be very consistent. Consistency is really key for kids. It sets boundaries so that they know where the line is and they can feel safe. We want to respond quickly to problems. When we ignore them, they can sometimes escalate, and we want to teach, not punish. We can also try redirecting them to alternate activities or distracting them. Speak firmly but calmly. You don't want to yell. That can be very scary. You want to tell them what you need in very simple terms that are one thing at a time. When you multi-layer stuff, I said stop fighting. Go pick up your toys. Go get your coat on. We have to leave. That's a lot of things for kids to decipher. So whatever is the primary thing that you're worried about, say that first. And then when that's accomplished, then you move to the next one. You'll get a lot more bang for your buck by being straightforward and not overwhelming them. You also want to avoid timeouts or spanking, anything like that, because we're teaching, we're not punishing. We also want to be really patient and be understanding and recognize that they're still learning what the rules are. If they do misbehave, what are some strategies? I want you to keep going back to this phrase. Without connection, there can be no correction. So without connection, there can be no correction. You have to lay that foundation for relationship, unconditional regard, love, affection, investment of your time into their lives for them to hear what you have to say when it's time for correction. So if there are things that, let's say they run out into the street. So a strategy might be they have to hold your hand or they have to go in a stroller to keep them safe. If they throw the iPad, we're going to put the iPad away. If they draw on the walls with crayons, then we take away the crayons. If they hit, we're going to comfort the victim first and then talk to the toddler about why that's wrong. All of these strategies correct what was wrong while also teaching that we don't do that, and here's why, without punishment, without shaming, without belittling. So some of the things we want to try to avoid doing, we don't want to spank them, we don't want to hit them with anything, we don't want to yell or scream or slap. We're not going to call them names or embarrass them or isolate them. We want to make sure we're teaching, not punishing. Some tips about toilet training. You may not know that toilet training accidents is the leading cause of death or injury for kids in this age group by frustrated parents. And there are strategies that we can use to diminish that kind of interaction. So we want to wait till the child is ready to toilet train. We're not going to rush them. We want to encourage them to try it, but don't get upset if they don't master it right away. Recognize too that there are going to be accidents. So be patient about it. Just set that in your head that it's going to be a thing and not set an unrealistic expectation for them. We're not going to shame them, have a sense of humor, when things happen, no embarrassing them, and then praising successful toileting attempts. One of the strategies that I found really helpful for my boys was putting Cheerios in the toilet so they could aim, and that was really great. That helped a lot with some of the toileting accidents. Letting them choose the underwear that they want to wear, utilizing pull-ups, and just not getting too wound up when it's a problem. If you utilize these positive discipline strategies with toddlers, some of the outcomes that we know from the research is that it creates that sense of trust and safety that we've been talking about and promotes bonding with caregivers. They actually do better academically as well as behaviorally in school moving forward. There are fewer social problems for them as well, and they have stronger mental health over the long term when they are taught rather than punished. So now let's look at preschoolers. This is the 3 to 5 year range. Some of the milestones that we know for preschoolers: they're becoming more independent, they're playing with others instead of in isolation, they're developing gross motor skills, so you'll see more running, jumping, skipping, things like that, in addition to their fine motor skills of things like being able to use scissors, to button buttons, to zip things up. They'll start communicating more with their words instead of having meltdowns or pointing or grunting like some of the toddlers might. They'll start following rules better once they understand what the rules are, and they start to notice differences between boys and girls. So some of the normal things that we'll see that are sometimes irritating: refusing to wear certain clothes because of sensory issues, they don't like the color, they it's all dinosaurs, whatever it is. That's very normal. Refusing to eat certain foods. I don't like those anymore. You might see some aggression with kicking, hitting, biting, not sharing, not listening to directions, and throwing temper tantrums. All totally normal for 3 to 5 year olds. So recognize that preschoolers are learning to follow directions, but they're also learning to self-regulate. This is where they're starting to be able to show some patience, to do things perhaps that they didn't want to do, to wait until it's time to be able to do what they want. So the key to preschoolers is recognizing that this is the time for communication, cooperation, and managing their emotions. These are the milestones that we want them to accomplish by the time they get to 5 years old. So what do we do when they misbehave? Here are some strategies. We can teach instead of punish, listen to what they're saying, talk about feelings. It's okay to be mad, but it's not okay to hurt other people. We want to be clear and consistent with our requests and expectations. Be patient, be understanding. We want to speak firmly and calmly. We're not yelling. Talk to them again in simple and direct terms, although you can layer a couple of things. Like with toddlers, we had 1 at a time. With preschoolers, we can try 2 at a time and pair those things. Scaffold it. We also want to guide them through problem solving and give them opportunities to consider options of how do you want to handle this, and give them very simple choices so that they feel empowered and that they're part of the process. According to healthychildren.org, I thought this was a great quote. Preschool children are still trying to understand how and why things work and what effect their actions have. As they learn appropriate behavior, expect them to continue testing the limits of parents and siblings. Totally normal. They want to know where the boundaries are and where the rules are. So if they misbehave, don't spank them, don't hit them with anything, slap or scream, call them names, embarrass, shame, isolate, withhold food. There should be a running theme. These are abusive behaviors, and we want to make sure that we are teaching, not punishing. So remember, preschoolers are still learning the rules, and you are the one teaching them the rules. So if they're not understanding, you should probably go back and figure out if there's a different strategy that you can utilize to help communicate what those rules are. The research shows that positive discipline strategies for kids in this 3 to 5 year age range, some of the outcomes will include helping them to understand the rules, promotes self-control, creates that safety and trust. They will do better in school. They'll have fewer behavioral problems, promotes pro-social behavior and more care for their neighbor, and will strengthen their mental health.